So now we have advanced objects, which I don't like how they are structuring this. In my opinion, this isn't that great. But here's the thing. We're just going to go along with it. Basically, they're describing classes, but they're not using classes. And this is what's called the constructor, but they're not using classes. They're using the old method. And no one does this anymore. So whatever. We'll just deal with it for now. Okay? When we get to classes, you'll see what's going on. So I have struggled with the this keyword on multiple occasions on these videos because this terminal or the runtime of this is sandboxed in an environment where the this keyword is not what you'd expect it to be and what I expected it to be. And so it's a little bit confusing. It does not be, or this keyword does not behave in the same way that it would on a browser or it would on Node.js, Deno, Bun, anything. It behaves completely differently. Like if I console.log this, you'd get an empty object. When on everything else, you wouldn't. You'd get all of the global functions and values that you'd usually get in Node.js and in the front end, what's it called? Browser stuff. It's only a little annoying, but I'll live. Okay. So let's create a new object to practice using this. So this basically refers to the wrapping object. So in an object, add a property of model, and this is 1E78V2, and those are capital E, 1A78V2, and then an energy level of 100. Great. So make sure you use commas instead of semicolons. Inside the robot, add a method named provide info. And I have done this already before with using the this keyword when explaining the difference between, just understanding what are they called? The side effects are. So when you have a function, you take in an object and you reset or change a parameter or change a property on that object, that is called a side effect and it's not good. And so I made basically made a better solution for that. And that's explained in one of my other videos. So provide info. We are going to return the following string, return, and we're going to return using interpolation. Although I don't know why they call it interpolation. I've never actually seen that before without Codecademy. Like I don't see that anywhere else. It's a template string. I am, and then this dot model, and my current energy level is this dot energy level. So the this keyword is referencing this object. So it's referencing itself. Okay. So it's essentially the same thing as saying robot, but the thing is robot is not declared yet while this is run, and so it's going to be confused at this point. So you use the this keyword, and that's referring to this. But it gets a little bit weird when you have nested objects. Like, what is this actually referring to? Is it referring to the wrapper class? Is it referring to, like, it gets confusing. So that's where you deal with composition, and you actually have really strict classes for stuff, and it makes it a little bit easier to deal with that. With the objects model and energy model, remember to get the access. That's what I did. Oh, did I not include a period? I'm so sorry. Make sure you're not logging the string, but returning. I am model, and my current energy level is energy level. What is wrong with that? It might, oh God, it wants that. Okay, fine. It doesn't like the arrow functions, but honestly, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It'll do the same thing. So now it wants you to console.log provide info. Notice how it got rid of this. But if I do this and I run it, oh, what? Shoot, that's right. Okay. Yeah. So that's where you get into the difference between function, my function, and then const my function. So as I talked about before, the problem is the this keyword. And I ran into this problem when trying to explain it because of how this is sandboxed. But inside of this array function, or this it won't reference this. It's not it's referencing something that it doesn't make sense. It doesn't understand. So in this situation, you can't actually use the arrow function. That's right. Because it cannot reference the correct this. But now if I do it using the non-arrow function method, it will actually access that information. So yeah, I forgot. God, I keep forgetting which one's which. Anyway, so yeah, this is what's confusing with those arrow functions and the this keyword. It gets weird. It gets real weird at times. This is why people don't like JavaScript. So I already ran it. So next, arrow functions in this. Well, actually, I'm going to keep going because that's what we're talking about. So we saw in the previous exercise for method calling object. Yeah, okay, yada, yada, yada. In the comment, you can see that root.diet would be undefined. Prints undefined. Arrow functions are inherently blind or tie, or inherently bind or tie an already defined this value onto the function itself. That is not calling the object. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Arrow functions inherently bind or tie an already defined this, which is this value, to the function itself. That is not calling the object. Okay, in the code snippet above, the value of this is the global object, or an object that exists in the global scope, which doesn't have the... Okay, so currently the check energy does not correct output because it's using arrow function syntax. So it just wants me to do this. Run. Great. So basically what's happening is I'm going to say check energy, and then I'll show you uses arrow. And I'm actually just going to say arrow, non-arrow. Whoops. Okay. So you can see the difference between these functions, but I'm going to console.log this, and then console.log this. So we can see the differences between these two things. And I'm going to say name is robot. Okay. So if I run this, whoops, that's right. Robot dot arrow, robot dot non-arrow. If I run this, you can see this is something else. But if I say this dot foo equals bar, I run this here. This is referencing this that is outside of this scope. Okay, God, I'm using this a lot. So that's where some of these things get, this keyword gets really weird. Okay, and so when you have an arrow, this keyword is referencing outside of it, which is actually what you want in a lot of different situations. If you're doing const thing equals that, this keyword, I mean, honestly, you wouldn't ever use the this keyword, but this keyword is not referencing this it's not referencing the function, it's referencing the entire object, or the global object. But if you're using, although not, it doesn't happen in here, but if you're using a function thing, this is referencing like this itself, and so it gets weird. So if I say this dot foo equals bar, actually I'm going to say baz return this, and if you're using this, it's going to want you to uppercase that. Oh yeah, it wants to convert into a class. So if I say const t equals thing, console.log t, console.log this, I'm curious what happens. Run. Huh. So return this is a global circular object that contains all of this information with also foo baz. But if I say foo bar, bar baz, if I do that, foo baz, but it doesn't have a bar baz. Interesting. So yeah, this is where it gets weird. This is where it gets real weird. So this is saying that t.console exists. Yep, that's there. See? It exists. That's a thing. This console and this console are the exact same thing. This keyword gets so confusing. So yeah, I don't like these at all. And I feel like this isn't quite right. Something isn't quite right here, because this should not be referring to the global scope. This should be referring to that. Whatever. That inherently feels wrong to me, and I don't think this is interpreting correctly. But whatever. I may be incorrect, but that's just me. So now we have understood the this property and how methods and crap works, and understanding how the this interacts with the arrow function versus the non-arrow function. So that's all really important. Thank you for bearing with me. Oh my gosh, that interesting stuff. Although it might seem boring, but to me it's interesting. But anyway, I'll see you in the next video when talking about privacy.